In the heart of the wild where the rivers run free, we're sharpening our tools, it's a life meant to be. Got the sun on our backs and the earth beneath our feet. The rural report is where the ready meet. Stand strong and prepare for the journey ahead. We're the dreamers, the builders, we'll weather the storm. With grit in our souls, we'll rise to transform. Gather round friends, it's all hands on deck. The rural report where we'll earn our respect.
Hello again and welcome back everybody to another edition of the Rural Report. I am your Rural 2IC and let's go back a little bit to the long form. We've been a little bit all over the place with short form and shorts and different other things. So let's go ahead and do a long form video. Now, as you can probably guess from the title of this video of the hunter becoming the hunted, a little bit of what I'm going to talk about. Now, what is a little bit of inspiration for this one is, yes, tomorrow is Thanksgiving. And what does everybody do on Thanksgiving? You eat. And it's one of the necessities of life. It's one of the golden rules that cannot be broken. You must eat to live. So, if we're going to put this into a preparedness aspect, then let's switch this over into the balloon has gone up and everything has hit the fan, and you must eat to survive. Now, if you ask people that are not a part of the preparedness, genre, you go, okay, this event happens, what are you going to do? And they go, well, I'm going to grab grandpa's rifle and I'm going to run out and get any four-legged thing that moves, and that's how I'm going to survive. Okay. We all know that that's not going to be a very good idea. Most people that have never hunted don't know how. There's going to be a lot of accidents, a lot of friendly fire. It's going to be bad news everywhere. But eventually you will have things that will be hunted basically to extinction. Now, we're going to touch on this in a couple of different aspects, kind of coming in at different angles. So, the first one is we go through and we get all the deer and the rabbit and things like that. Guess what? That's not the only animals out there. So, what does that mean? Well, there's predatory animals out there. So, if you live in an area that you have anything such as fox, coyote, bear, bobcat, or anything in between. Those are predatory, meat-eating, carnivore animals that, if they're carnivorous, then they're going to eat meat. And guess what? You are meat. And so you become on the menu. That's kind of how nature works. When you take away something off their menu suddenly expands to include you. Now, how are you going to deal with that? Maybe you were not the one that was going out there and taking every animal that you possibly could find, but how are you going to deal with that when that comes around? A lot of people, when they think of SHTF, they automatically think of the two-legged things. I got to protect, my area from, people that mean harm. Okay, that's great, and you absolutely should. But what about predatory animals? What about anything that suddenly you took their food source away and now you are a part of their menu? What are you going to do about that? That takes a lot away when suddenly you got to watch out for every two and four-legged creature out there. Probably in the beginning, they're going to do what animals do. They're going to go after the weak. And so that is anybody who is very, very young and anybody who is very, very old. That would basically, come down to anybody who would need the most protection should stay the closest to some sort of shelter. But then again, what kind of life is that for somebody, like my little one? Yes, he can run. Yes, he can scream. Yes, he can get my attention and do different things. But how fast is a 5-year-old? You're not going to outrun most things, and they still got to live. It doesn't matter how bad SHTF is. If they can't run around and enjoy sunshine and play and grow up and experience and build and get those fine motor skills and things like that. It's part of growing up. It's what they need to do regardless of the situation. And so it brings into, what are you going to do? Are you going to hunt those? Are you going to trap those? Are you going to do something that you lay down something of a deterrence? It's different on if you're trying to defend maybe one large cat, like a bobcat or something like that, versus a hungry pack of wolves. That's a whole different ball game that you're talking about. It gives you a little bit more of an insight to where this is things that we need to start thinking about. When I suddenly kind of got this into my head about what would you do to predatory animals, I kind of searched YouTube and I really didn't find much. And so this is one of them subjects that probably needs to be discussed a little bit more. But let's take it back and let's do, maybe those animals were not hunted to extinction, but what happens when you are growing an abundance of food and now all of a sudden you have people trampling all over the woods and everything else? You're disturbing homes, habitats, game trails, different other things. Suddenly those animals start coming upon your food, as you probably should be growing some sort of food. My guess is balloon goes up, you're going to be growing more food than you've ever have. And, depending on how long you have, maybe this is going to be your first time, maybe you've been growing for quite a while. You're probably going to expand your garden into something a lot bigger than what it normally is now. Now, if you already have a big garden, great, but it never hurts to grow more food. Uh, the ability to preserve, to can, use it for bartering items, for bait, different things like that. It's definitely, you probably can't have too much food, right? And so, what are you going to do to guard against the animals that want your food? And so, anything from deer to rabbits to squirrel to everything that's there. Birds want your berries. And it even goes into some of the bigger predatory animals. Bears will come in and they'll eat your berries and other things. So it's a lot to guard against. Anything from putting something to where it's a fence, or maybe having it to where it's where you keep your dog, something like that, something that kind of stands guard. Maybe you don't have the ability to do a fence, but maybe you can put up some sort of a string line with bells or something that at least gives you that something is in there, and you can at least go and address the situation. But food is going to be extremely important. And so it comes down to, hopefully you already have a food plan. Not only do you need food for the immediate of whatever the event is, you also need to have a short term food supply, a medium term, a long term, and then a way to regenerate and restock and resupply your food supply. uh, Food and water is extremely important. Again, it's golden rules you cannot break. And this is things that if you don't have the problem solved now, you really need to put a lot of time and effort into getting as much of it solved as you possibly can. Um, and food and water is a topic that we could do weeks and weeks and weeks of talking about. But the purpose of this video is for your food. What happens when your food becomes hunted? When you start having hungry people or hungry animals? How do you guard against that? How do you protect against that? What happens when some of that gets, taken away for whatever reason, and now those hungry meat eating animals, now you're the only thing, walking around? Have you thought about it? Have you given it 1 minute have thought? Has it crossed your mind at all? Because if not, it might be a good idea to take a few minutes and do a what if scenario today. Just sit back and go, you know what? If I was out at the barn or over at the shop, or I was going out to gather firewood or down to the stream to fish, what would I do for protection? You know, what is it? What animals are in your area that you're going to have to guard against? Can you identify things by tracks, by sounds, by any sort of destruction? Things that rip down trees or something. Can you identify scat that you can find on the ground and go, okay, I know what's in my area? And then can you identify how fresh something is? This is really old, something probably just passed through, not too concerned about it, or that's hours old and something's probably still in the area. There's different things that you can do to help better protect yourself. When the balloon goes up, there's going to be a lot of threats and there's going to be a lot to guard against. And it's going to be one of them things that you're going to have to do a threat assessment, and you're going to have to try and figure out, what is it that's going to take me out first, and what is all the different possible threats in there that I even need to be considering to try and deal with and problem solve and get out of. So hopefully this little bit of a thought exercise helped you. Uh, Maybe you got a little bit of entertainment out of it. Hopefully you learned something, but that's what I've got for you guys today. So again, I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in and all the love and support that you guys have given the channel. You guys are amazing. Hats off to you guys. You rock. Appreciate it so much. So I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you have a blessed day. Stay tuned because there is definitely more information to come. And with that, remain united because we're all prepping in this together.